Mr. C here. Today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and seal up some of the parts to our project here. Now, I have our epoxy resin, and this is a 2-to-1 ratio mixture. What that means essentially is for every 2 pumps of the resin, I put 1 pump of the hardener in. And this has to be extremely accurate or else it'll never cure, it'll never harden, it'll just stay like a gummy mess. So you want to be really, really careful when you do that. But before I start doing anything with the epoxy resins, I want to make sure I have everything in front of me that I need. So I have my glasses, I have a bucket to put the epoxy in, I have a stick to mix, I have 1 foam brush to go ahead and put this on the surfaces with, and then I have a pair of gloves that are rubberized so that way I don't get the epoxy on my hands. This will never come off. If you get it in your clothing, well, your clothing is destroyed, okay? It'll never come out. You can't wash this out and take it out, so just so you know that beforehand. But what I want to do here is on these pieces, I'm going to take this piece and pull this up. I need to seal the edges here so that way the colored epoxy does not seep in and bleed throughout the whole structure or the fiber structure of the piece. We do not want to end up with marks from the different colored epoxy inside here. So what we have to do is seal this all up, seal up the face, seal up this face. We want to have this face up because of the figure inside the grain to be far more attractive. Okay? And then same thing on these pieces here. Let me pull this piece up. This piece, if you remember, we broke out all the dead that was inside of here. I do have some of this sealed. I should say, this edge here is sealed. This edge is not. Neither is that side. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take care of that today. We're going to get these sealed up along with this piece. This was sealed along here and here, but not the top or the bottom. So this is the way, or the positioning of these pieces. So what I'm going to do first is in my empty bucket, I need to go ahead and put the appropriate pumps of the epoxy resin and hardener in here to go ahead and start this process. So I like to always just make 1 batch at a time, so that way I know that I have it accurate. So as you can see, I'm putting 2 pumps of resin to every 1 pump of hardener. I make sure that the pump handle is all the way up after every depression. Now this does take a few batches to get this done. Now that I've made several batches, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my epoxy resin and just set it down here on the floor, so it's kind of the way. Now what I'd like to do is I take a stick or just scrap piece of material and mix this up pretty vigorously, but not ridiculous. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that all the epoxy resin and the hardener has a chance to mix thoroughly. So that way I know that this is going to work as far as it's going to have the chemical reaction of the bonding, so that way it does seal up or it does become hardened. Now, inside of our form here, it's all been, excuse me, I've already gone ahead and in the inside I have put packing tape on all the surfaces, and I put them in the bottom of it to create like a tub so that way it doesn't leak out. And also where the pieces meet each other, it's been screwed together, and I also taped off the bottom to make sure it doesn't leak out the bottom. So basically what I'm trying to do is make sure that I don't have any problems with any leaks. It doesn't find a spot to seep out anywhere. And I did that before I placed the pieces in here. But what we need to do is just mix this for about 5 to 7 minutes. Make sure it's mixed up really, really thoroughly, and then we're good to go as far as putting this on the surface of these pieces to seal it up. Then it has to sit for 24 hours, and once it's done that, we shouldn't have to worry about any bleeding of the epoxy resin colored material into the top itself. Okay? So I'm going to continue with this for about, like I said, 5 to 7 minutes. I'm not going to have you watch this for 5 to 7 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave you at this time, and when we come back, I'm going to show you exactly how I put this onto the surfaces of the material to make sure it seals up. That way we don't have a problem with the bleeding of the color of the epoxy going into our wood surfaces. Okay? Until next time, I'm Mr. C. We'll see you. Bye.